What is up, guys? Welcome to Treg Talks. And here I am, Treg. I'm going to be talking for a little bit. Thank you guys for joining us. Hope you like the new skin. If you was with us from episode 1, we was pretty bare bones. We didn't have much going on here. So if you like the skin, you like the new stuff, it's only going to get better from here, guys. Today it's going to be a bit of a shorter one, more of a test for everything, and to kind of get you guys thinking about more about this mud fossil theory topic, because it makes the world make a lot more sense to me. I don't know about you. If you ever look up the topic, it's pretty strange, but if you put a biblical sentiment in there, the fact that there were giants in those days, we really got to get into there. So today we're going to talk about Mount Hermon. Last time we were talking about computer chips in Egypt, and how these pyramids have something to do with, and temples have something to do with making contact with God. We're going to go back and we're going to go back into Solomon. I'm sorry, that's what I was trying to come up with. We're going to go back into Solomon at some point. But right now, I got a video for you guys about Mount Hermon. If you haven't heard about it, it's a pretty significant place in the Bible when it comes to the fallen angels and all that other jazz. So let's just go right down into it and look it up. Let me put you guys on here.
The day he was born, people told him he was the Son of God. The angels singing it, you know. When he picks Nathaniel to be a disciple, Nathaniel declares that he's the Son of God, and he says, "Why? Because I saw you under the fig tree? Well, you're going to see greater things than that." Every time the demon-possessed people saw him, they cried out and said, "You are the Christ." He said, "Be quiet." So his whole life, people told him he was the Son of God. So why, at the end of his ministry, when Peter says it, why does he get so excited? I could never understand that till I stood in the location where that conversation took place in 2005. This is where Yeshua stood when he asked the question, "Who do men say that I am?" He stood at the base of Mount Hermon, right there, in Caesarea Philippi, where there was an altar to the Greek god Pan, who was the god of shepherds. So I think it's awfully poetic that the good shepherd stood in front of the Greek god of shepherds and asked the question. Then, actually, if you're standing there looking at the altar of Pan, which was very much kind of like Petra, you know, like a city in the rock. It wasn't quite that big, but it was embedded in the rock. Just off to the right is a foothill, and at the top of the foothill is a place called the Fortress of Nimrod, who was the first Antichrist who tried to create a one-world system without God, in fact, tried to kill God. So as he's looking at Pan in front of him, off to the right is the Fortress of Nimrod. Off to the left is a location that even still to this day, but at the time was known as the Gates of Hades, a physical location. So when he says the Gates of Hades will not prevail, he was standing right in front of the Gates of Hades, which I've maintained is not just a place. Hades is the brother of Zeus. It's an entity as well. And then something really interesting happens. It says 6 days later that Yeshua took Peter, James, and John to the top of a high mountain. Well, Mount Hermon is by far the tallest mountain in the region, and they're in the area anyway, so many scholars believe, as I do, that he took them to the top of Mount Hermon for the Mountain of Transfiguration, where today there is a UN radar outpost. I understand the strategic location with Syria and Lebanon and all that, but it's kind of interesting that there is right across from a cross where people believe is the spot of the Mountain of Transfiguration took place, that the UN of today, just like Yeshua of his day, could look down from that spot to the very location where the Watchers landed. Very strategic location to bring them right to the spot where the plan was hatched that tried to prevent him from existing in the first place. Genesis chapter 6, right? The devil wants to destroy the seed of Eve so that the seed of Eve can't crush his head. Well, the seed of Eve was standing right there looking down, and basically, I believe he was looking off and saying, okay, I got your number. Let's play. The best way I can explain this as an allegory is the movie Rocky, which I've come to realize is not a movie about boxing. It's actually a pretty extraordinary series, and there's a couple of them that are kind of goofy and all that, but I don't know where Sylvester Stallone stands in his faith. He claims to be a Christian. He's made some questionable movies and stuff, but as a writer myself and filmmaker, there's something in him that he understands. Let's just put it that way. Everything that's in a movie is very intentional. Nothing ends up on screen except that it has been well thought out in advance, planned out, and orchestrated. Okay, so the very first scene that you see in Rocky, when you fade up from black, is a picture of Jesus. It's the first thing you see when the movie fades up from black, is a picture of Jesus. The camera pulls back a little bit farther, and there's Rocky fighting Spider Rico and two nobodies in the basement of a church. Notice what it says behind him: resurrection. Okay? So he's a nobody, fighting a nobody. Then he gets this unbelievable chance of a lifetime to go up against the heavyweight champion of the world, right? What's his name? Apollo Creed. Apollo, son of Zeus, son of perdition, Antichrist. Creed is the belief system of a people group. So Rocky, the Rock, is going up against Apollo Creed, the heavyweight champion of the world. What does he do before the big fight? He goes and surveys the ring. So he walks into the ring that night before the big fight. There's a big giant banner of Apollo Creed. He goes home, and he has sort of his Garden of Gethsemane moment of doubt. Sits with Adrian, not sure if he can go through with this whole plan. And then this quiet resolve comes over him, and he gets this new strength, and he just says, you know what? I don't care if I beat him. I just want to go 15 rounds. No one has ever gone the distance with Creed. That's all he cared. He wanted to go to the distance with Creeds. So, next day, gets into the fight of his life. Takes the beating of his life from the heavyweight champion of the world. Round after round, just being pummeled. And Apollo's given everything he has, unleashing on Rocky. But after 15 rounds, Rocky was still standing. The last scene in the movie is everybody's flipping out, right? You remember, you were just as excited as everybody in the movie, right? Woo-hoo! You made it, yell. Everybody's excited, and the commentator's like, Rocky, what was going through your mind? Rocky, what were you thinking? And as he's saying that, Adrian, his bride-to-be, is coming into the ring area, and Paulie lets her in. And the last line in the movie is Adrian saying, I love you, and Rocky saying, I love you. Fade to black. I'm like, I've seen that story somewhere before. Pretty amazing. And then if you take it to Rocky 2, Rocky, the Rock, the second coming, first he marries Adrian, he gets married, and then he goes back into the ring and he beats Apollo. I'm like, I don't know if Sylvester Stallone really gets it, but man, that's an amazing analogy for what I think is going on Mount Hermon in Caesarea Philippi. Because Jesus, right before he was about to go 15 rounds with the devil, so to speak, went and surveyed the ring. He went, and from that location, he could look down to the Antichrist, to the fortress of Nimrod. He could look over to the location where the fallen angels landed to try to prevent him from existing in the first place. He could look down to the gates of Hades and the altar of Pan. He's like, okay, Nimrod, I got your number. Okay, watchers, you wait. You watch. You're in for something. Because it says from that point on, that from that moment on, Jesus went from that location there for the Mountain of Transfiguration, preaching about his death, burial, and resurrection. And he headed directly to Jerusalem, where he went 15 rounds with the devil and was still standing when it was over. And oh, by the way, it says that he went down first, right, after he died. And many of your translations probably say preached to those in prison. I think that's kind of a poor translation. The word caruso, it's heralded in victory. He went down to Tartarus and said, aha, you lose, I win, I'm taking the keys, I'll be back, and it's not going to be good for you. On his way up, he liberated the saints in Abraham's bosom. Pretty amazing thing. that really makes the statement make a whole lot more sense now. Why Yeshua took them to Caesarea Philippi, of all places, to ask that pretty profound question, and Peter's answer, which is so amazing, because I can see Peter sitting there going, the rabbi knows who we think he is. This must be a rhetorical question. His buddies are going, some say Jeremiah, some say Elijah, some whatever. And I see Peter just kind of going, what is he really asking? And as a filmmaker, this is the way I see the scene, is that Yeshua has his back to Pan, and Peter's looking at Yeshua, and it's called a rack focus. Yeshua goes out of focus, and Pan comes in focus. Pan goes out of focus, and Yeshua comes in focus, and he goes, oh, I get it. You are the Christ, the Son of the living God. Yeah, that's right, Peter. Blessed are you. Because flesh and blood did not reveal this, but my Father just told you what we're doing here. My destination is Jerusalem. He took an awfully big detour to go all the way up to southern Lebanon to have this little conversation. Peter understood what was going on there. And he says that upon this rock I'll build my church, and the gates of what? Or who? Hades will not prevail. And then he goes on to talk about some really interesting things about binding and loosing. I think we're going to have to understand this whole binding and loosing thing. I really do.
A clip just about Mount Hermon and its significance in the Bible. I just wanted to go over that, just a little clip. I can't really get into all of this all at once. I want to do it slowly. I want you guys to kind of wrap your heads around there were different beings walk around the earth. They were having meetings with each other and trying to plan on how humanity was about to form. And so they had a lot to do with what's going on today. So at the end we're going to wrap that up. But for now, we're going to stay on topic with Mount Hermon. We're going to get into mud fossil theory eventually. So stay posted, stay tuned, like and subscribe. If you have any comments, you have any ideas for a show you might want to see, or any topics you might want to see come up, go ahead, leave them below. The link to the video you just saw is in the description below, so go ahead and click that if you want to see the whole video. And until then, till next time, peace.